Dan Show. Welcome to Contractor Spotlight.
Thanks
for participating in this.
Absolutely.
So you have a fair amount of experience with ABC, but I want to talk about Supreme Structures first. So you are the owner of Supreme Structures. You are also the person who started Supreme Structures. Kind of give me a little bit about your background. Why did you do this?
Well, 30 years ago, well, going to be 31 years ago, I had a business partner back then, Brian Kilgore, and he used to be my boss.
Yeah.
When I was going through college, and Brian called me one day and said, "What do you think about starting a business?" I called my dad, and my dad said, "You're young, you're in your 20s, pay everyone off before you pay yourself, treat people the way you're brought up, and give back if you can make it." So that's a philosophy we had starting Supreme Structures. I was fortunate, my wife was a physical therapist at that time, so that first year I had no money coming in. But slowly but surely we started getting some commercial work.
Okay.
And
Now, did you start in commercial, or
we started originally in a little residential.
Okay.
And residential was really tough on my side because you would give somebody an allowance of $150 for a faucet, and they'd go out and buy a $500 growing. And you try to explain to them, you're gonna have to pay the extra money, and they said, I don't get it. So commercial people get it.
Right.
99% of the time, the funds are available. You're dealing with architects, you're dealing with owners, developers, and they understand the process.
Right.
Residential, they don't not necessarily understand the entire process.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have construction experience prior? Is
I
that what got you here?
worked for corporate construction, and I was a project manager, and constructed many Walmarts and Sam's wholesale clubs throughout the years. So my first project at Supreme Structures was building a deck. And we've come a little bit away, come far away from building a deck.
Long way from building a deck.
Our first commercial job was PDQ Food Stores. And that vice president at the time, asked me to help him out at home with a patio door. And no problem. And I remember the conversation because I gave him my T&M billing of 38 hours, and his girlfriend at the time was keeping track of all the hours. And she said, Dan was here 58 hours, not 38 hours. And I said, Jed, this is back when you had the big mobile phone, right?
Right.
And I said, Jed, I can't charge you when I'm on my phone working at your house.
Right.
And he turned around and he said, "You're my kind of guy," and handed me a set of blueprints for PDQ and said, "Here's your first job with us." And that was we did PDQ's work up until Quick Trip for 20 some years.
Well, how many PDQs did you end up building for them then?
Numerous remodels, numerous additions, and numerous ground ups. I was there, worked with their development team, was on the front end on a lot of them, and just escalated from there. So 30, 40, more. They were a machine.
Wow.
And started working with Stop and Go, started working with VPs, many convenience store customers back then.
Okay. We're still doing convenience stores? Have you evolved into something else?
Well, Quick Trip stops buying them all. Quick Trip's phenomenal. I mean, they're a machine, but they keep buying all my customers. And we do a little bit of Quick Trip's work.
Sure.
So, which is good. I would say we were extremely efficient throughout the years, and the recession hit. And at that time, we had one job and only one job, and that was the Toyota East. John Lancaster, and we're very fortunate. We did Lancaster's work for many years. Did Lexus, did Toyota, did a lot of his remodels. And at that time, we were sitting there with no debt, and my business partner was in the office, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think?" And he said, "Yeah, I think you should buy me out."
I'm guessing that wasn't the plan.
That wasn't the plan. But we ended up turning around and we had a phenomenal divorce. Brian is still a business partner in some properties I own.
Okay.
Still communicate to him quite a bit, and great guy. Brian was just the opposite of me. I'm more of the business development. He was the field guy, right?
Sure.
I have a nephew that stepped into place 15 years ago that has escalated. He's my director of operations. Extremely intelligent, go-getter, attention to detail. So fast forward, going to be 31 years. Here's where we're at.
Wow. What are some of the projects you got that you're working on now?
Currently, we designed and we're under construction on the Bodie House, which is a brewery, bike shop, coffee shop, and coffee, bike, brewery. That's about.
The hipsters are going to be happy.
The hipsters are going to be happy. And we're wrapping up a place called Butterbird. It's a fast food chicken downtown on Regent Street in Madison.
Oh.
And the owners of the Harvey House, you might have heard of the Harvey House.
Harvey House,
Same
yeah.
owners. Our retention on clients is probably 98, 99%. The 1% is, do we really want to work for that client again?
Right.
And I go back to the foundation of Supreme, right?
Sure.
You treat people the way you're brought up.
Mhm.
And, fast forward, I know you're going to ask me about ABC, but why I'm sitting there at ABC is ABC has the same philosophy as Supreme Structures, right?
Good. Yep.
It is a merit shop, great guys, work hard, and just no BS, right?
Mhm.
You get a hurdle, figure out how to get over that hurdle. We use ABC quite a bit. Can I tell you a quick funny story?
Tell me a quick funny story.
Many, many years ago, I get a Rudy the Rat shows up on one of my job sites, and I didn't know what to do. So I called ABC, and they said, does Stop and Go have a board that you can put anything up there? I'm like, they do. We have the price sign and
Sure.
this and that. So ABC at that time, the legal counsel said, would you be willing to buy coffee and donuts? And I'm like, sure. So we put on there, come in to see Rudy the Rat and get a free coffee and donuts.
And so somebody knows what or who Rudy the Rat is.
Yes. And it was phenomenal. And it was, we took a bad situation, and we work with union, we work non-union, we work with them all. And I had no issues at all, but Rudy the Rat was affecting business.
This is
And-
somebody who was basically trying to stir up the
Yeah.
pot on
Yeah.
you being a non-union.
And it actually was comical because my client ended up escalating more sales that day and sold more cigarettes and more coffee than anything. It was a comical thing, but we wouldn't have known what to do without our resources at ABC at that
Sure.
time. And it was kind of a good, because I was actually respected by the electrical union on thinking outside the box, and I can't take the credit on that. And we work hand in hand ever since.
Nice.
So it opened up dialogue and communication that we never had before, and it was a positive outcome on a situation that, when I was young, didn't know how to handle it. So
That's-
that was 20-some years ago, but
Yeah.
it was good.
That's a definite
It was
benefit of being part of ABC.
Well-
Now, something you also mentioned is your culture is very similar to what ABC's culture is. So why don't you go into a little bit more detail with, if I were an employee looking for an opportunity, why would I want to come work for you?
I think our culture, I think you have to be a little unique with our culture, because we're a small enough shop where you have to wear many hats. And I say that because my business, you're not just an estimator, you're writing contracts, you're meeting with the owner, you're writing the change orders, you're looking at the draw requests. So when you come to work for Supreme Structures, you're wearing several hats throughout the day.
So nothing's boring.
Nothing's boring. Nothing's boring. And I look at ABC because a lot of the people in the ABC is, this is my job, but I also jump to help somebody else in the course of the business they need help. And it's the same philosophy. It's like you're struggling on a ladder, and the electrician that's on site sees you're struggling. He puts the stuff down, comes over and helps you on it, right? I don't know, it's a different mindset. Let's work together. Let's get the job done. What's best? When I was on the board at ABC, you'd walk into the boardroom, and it wasn't this contractor against another contractor. We had the analogy of what's best for ABC throughout Wisconsin. We're all equal, what's best, right? And I think our culture is what's best for our partnership with our clients. So we're not money driven, how do we make more money on this client, how do we do this? Like, I'll go back to my retention. We create partnerships with our clients, and hence we get repeat business.
Sure.
Hopefully I kind of answered that question.
I think you did.
If you hit a hurdle, figure out a way around that hurdle, work collectively within the group, and
So multitasker, team player, somebody who doesn't want to be bored on the job or be siloed into one particular
correct.
experience.
And I think silos are a detriment to a lot of companies. Yes,
Yeah.
you have to have silos, but you have to merge those silos and work in uniform as one. Everyone's stronger if you combine all the different silos into one machine.
Yeah, well, especially workflow in any business,
Yep.
knowing how to get from beginning to end is different for each discipline, right?
Yep,
So,
yep.
So you did mention that you've been part of ABC, you've been on the board, you talked
Mhm.
a little bit about that. Tell me about your board experience.
Absolutely amazing. Board experience, just being part. You would see it on the calendar, ABC board, like, oh, I got so much work to do, I really don't want to go, and you're kicking and screaming. You show up, and you walk out 2.5 hours later, and it was the most unbelievable learning experience. We were making decisions as a group for the association. And it was a group of 10, 12 people get together and making decisions. I was fortunate because we got ABC, the most amazing team. Nailed everything on the national side. Highest retention, growth. You know, we're trifecta for many years.
Wow.
And John Milky, the current president, when I was the board chair, he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "What do you mean, what do I want to do?" He said, "Well, the wheels aren't in the ditch." I'm like, "Well, then let's not do anything, but what do you want to do?"
Right.
And we started that conversation. And the current chair, I was chair-elect, and I got together, Greg Jones got together, he's following my footsteps, and we collectively, with ABC, I believe, came up with a game plan, not for 1 year, but for several years. And fast forward today, I think that's why we're at today.
That's wonderful. So your experience with ABC has been really strong. You've been part of it for 20 plus years. What would you tell somebody who's maybe not been a part of ABC? Why should they join?
I would say if you're a smaller company, which makes up majority of our members, all the experience that you can go to and receive, the intermix of different subcontractors, I think there's an electrician A and electrician B, and electrician A and B, you guys can talk and become partners even though you have two separate companies.
Right.
ABC, if you have questions, it's all there, and there are people at ABC are willing to get you the right answers when you need it. You know, kind of a stupid little perk, I have to tell you, that nobody knows, is we joined for ABC for the right reasons, right?
Right.
But when I went to go buy a couple Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans, the guy's like, "Here's the price." I'm like, "All right." He goes, "You're not part of like an ABC or something, are you?" I'm like, "I am." He goes, "I can take off another $500 each." I'm like, "Wow, that's just paying my dues."
There you go.
You don't think about those,
Right.
the perks.
Right.
You don't join because of the perks, but there's perks out there that all of a sudden are like, wow, right?
Fringe benefits.
Fringe benefits. You know, we use ABC as a general contractor. We'll open up the book all day long. You know, who are our partners in Oconomowoc or the Milwaukee area? Who do I need to reach out to for electrical, plumbing? Usually they're not two guys in a pickup truck. If they're a member ABC, you know they have their baggage in order. They know they're running a clean shop, and you pretty much can rely on them because they're an ABC member. So it gives us a lot of bonus points getting another ABC member on target within my crew. It really does.
Very good.
And a lot of perks at ABC, you know, just the networking is great, the golf outing sells out immediately, and people yell that they're on the waiting list, but then I get the phone calls, can you get me in? And I'm like, no, it's done, they'll shut her down.
No perks that way, you can't
No.
get me.
You only can have,
No velvet rope.
you only can put so many people on the golf course stand.
That's true, that's true. Well, thank you again for participating in this. So if somebody were to get a hold of you for work, for employment, what's the best way to reach out to Supreme Structures?
Call my cell 24/7,
What's your cell number?
608-516-8430.
Awesome.
And if somebody has any questions about ABC whatsoever, it's an easy dialogue.
There we go.
Awesome.
Dan, thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
Dan.
The Dan and Dan Show today, we really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.